Welcome to the Journey Success Stories podcast. I'm Jennifer Sheffel, your host, and today I am joined with Shane Noem. He is the president and founder of Roebling Solutions. Welcome, Shane.
Hey, Jennifer. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Love having you. I'm super excited to hear Shane's story and all about Roebling Solutions. But if this is your first time to the show, definitely make sure that you like and subscribe because we want you to get additional notifications whenever we have great new conversations drop, just like this one, because Journey Success Stories is all about that journey to business ownership, the peaks, the valleys, the good, the bad, the ugly, all the really fun stuff. And of course, the triumphs and the celebrations that we enjoy along the way. So Shane, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. I would love for you to give us a little bit of background about you and also the business. How did it come about?
Sure thing. Well, I'll give you my quick overview of how I came to this crazy career that I'm in. But I grew up in Northern Kentucky, not from a political patronage family. Mom and Dad were not involved in politics at all. And in college at Western Kentucky University, I was a photojournalism major and talk about a career or an industry in transition in 2005, 2006, 2007. So I did the rational thing and I added political science as a double major, and really caught the bug for running campaigns, get involved in campaign work. So over time, that led me into a career with Senator Mitch McConnell and worked for him for 8 years, both in campaign and official roles. And one of my favorite things I enjoyed during that time was the constituent services piece, helping people solve problems. You know, government is not known for being the easiest to work with, or it gets a bad rap for not solving the problems that constituents have. And what I appreciate is McConnell had a real focus on anybody that calls our office, we're going to help them through whatever they're working through. And so after I left him in 2000, I really had that kind of pull back to helping people. And so it was a logical next step for me was to get into the public policy work. And we're helping businesses, nonprofits, and community organizations solve problems, make government, their government, work for them, and finding solutions that help them bridge business.
Awesome. So you guys have a great niche with nonprofits. Do you only do nonprofits?
Not at all. No, we have, I'd say a quarter of our work is nonprofit. A quarter is what I'd consider the big dogs, Fortune 500 out-of-state companies that don't have a relationship with local governments. And then the real sweet spot for us is that family-owned business that's maybe regulated in some way, or a mid-size company that's recently located to the state. But we're a nimble boutique lobby shop, and we can meet our clients' specific needs.
I love this. So tell me about the difference between being a lobbyist and an advocate.
Yeah. Yeah, I was intrigued about this because I think everybody thinks, look, I'm not Darth Vader. My voice is a little tired this morning, but I don't have the raspy voice. Lobbyists get a bad rap because that's what they do for a living, and there's always those one or two actors over the course of history that ruin it for everybody. But at the end of the day, I'm a paid advocate. So folks hire me because they don't have the bandwidth to walk the hill, walk the Capitol steps every day and get to know the 138 members of the Kentucky General Assembly and what makes them tick, understand the 120 counties in Kentucky. They're busy running their business.
Yeah.
And my business is to help them not have to worry about the business of government. And so that's what makes me a lobbyist versus an advocate. An advocate, Jennifer, is if you had an issue that you were passionate about and it wasn't something you were compensated for, and you wanted to go to Frankfurt and tell your representative, hey, my city needs this, my community needs this, or my family is impacted by this. So really the difference is, if you're compensated to do the work or you're not. And there's legal definitions that get into how you register as a registered agent in the state of Kentucky, what paperwork you have to file, the financial limitations you have. You can't donate to certain people in their political campaigns. So it's not as easy to be a corrupt, shady, dark money backroom lobbyist. There's really a framework and a professionalism to the industry that I think people don't know about or don't think about.
So when you founded your business, Tell me a little bit more about Roebling Society. How did it get started? What's the path to this business ownership that you now have? And how long have you been in business? And how many employees do you have?
Sure. Well, when I was on Senator McConnell's campaign in 2020, I knew there was a hard stop at the end of the campaign. Everybody's fired at the end of the campaign, win, lose, or draw. And I was really excited about that transition point, and I knew I wanted to work for myself. I grew up in a small business household. Mom and dad still live on the farm and run the family business, so I knew I liked being my own boss. So as I looked around, I looked at the opportunities to run campaigns professionally. I was the only person on our campaign staff that had a house and a mortgage, kids, a dog, a white picket fence, all that. I was the old guy at 30 years old, believe it or not. And I wanted something a little more stable and less cyclical than campaigns that are only up every 2 years. In addition to really liking the problem solving piece to it, so I decided to lean into lobbying in the public policy space. And as I'm talking to mentors in the Northern Kentucky market, folks are encouraging me, oh, just jump into it, do it on your own, set up shop. And I was really planning on just going out to business on my own, solo, bootstraps and bare knuckle it through. And I sat down with an attorney, Dinsmore Shoal, and he's like, "You need to come talk to us. We have a niche need for this, and we have a boutique shop in Cincinnati that serves Columbus, and it's a good model for you to consider." And thinking about it, praying about it, looking at the numbers, everything made a lot of sense. And so we formed a partnership with Dinsmore Shoal. I own Roebling Solutions, but they have an ownership in us as well, and that allows us the nimbleness and the flexibility I mentioned. When we need to, we can bring in attorneys. Dinsmore's got over 750 attorneys across the country. So if there's a specific need that our clients have, we can bring them in on it. If it's a local nonprofit, they just need one person to help them hold their hand through an issue, I'm here, and I can do that solo. Our team, Roebling's team, we've got two front facing and two back end. So we've got another lobbyist, Ellie Neltner. She's a rock star, came out of the campaign world. And then myself. So we're the ones you'll see in Frankfurt and DC and in the county courthouse. But we're really blessed with that structure, and it's a really good fit for a business that's 4.5 years old.
That's beautiful. So, 4.5 years, imagine you've arrived 5 years from now. What does the business look like now?
That's a great question. We've all got our goals and what we're shooting for and striving for. And every picture that I've tried to paint for myself for the future, it never turns out what I expected it to. Typically, it turns out better, but different is the key. I would like to be, add another team member, because I think that's a sweet spot, is three. Then if two of us have to go to a meeting, somebody else is on standby for another client. Um, yeah, I'd say another lobbyist, and I would say six or seven more long-term clients. In the lobbying world, I feel like there's two kinds of clients that we get to interact with. We get the short-term, kind of quick transactional clients, and then we have the annuity clients that they want us to be a long-term part of their team. They just don't want to bring us in-house for salary reasons or structure reasons. And so that's our sweet spot. We'd really like six more of those annuity clients, and that's a really good spot to be humming.
So, if you were to create like an avatar of those annuity clients, what would that look like for you?
Yeah, I think the folks that we can best serve and that I enjoy serving are those mid-sized businesses or out-of-state companies that don't know and don't understand Kentucky.
Mm,
What I tell folks in kind of my sales pitches, I've been to all 120 counties in Kentucky, most of them twice. I have great relationships with the federal delegation, the state legislature, and a lot of the cities and counties. If you need somebody who's going to be a general expert on the Commonwealth of Kentucky and get you in the room to have the conversation, that's what we're going to be able to do. We're not going to be a big massive team that's going to show 20 folks at a meeting to show a muscle flex. That's not our style. That's not my style.
yeah.
But if you want somebody to coach you, help you, be your advocate in Frankfurt when you can't be there, meet with the mayor when you can't be there, that's the sweet spot for us.
Awesome. So, do you partner with some of our economic development organizations like Ready and some of the others?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We are having conversations with BNKY and Ready all the time. They do incredible work for our region and bring a lot of talented professionals here and companies that are going to grow for the next generation.
Yes, they are remarkable organizations. And so when you're talking about businesses moving in instantly, that's where my head goes. So if you were to think about what's your number one challenge to achieve your 5-year goal, what would that maybe be? Or like a roadblock that you need to be very cognizant of?
It's a good question. You know, I don't see a lot of roadblocks. I see opportunities to figure out a new problem.
Yeah.
That's a very fluffy way of saying political spin, but I think so much of this industry is just seizing the moment and the capitalizing upon an opportunity that presents itself. Uh,
Yeah.
there's no room in a small business. There's no room for a bad day, uh,
No.
and so just being on our A game every time a ball comes up to bat.
Hmm.
In that small business I grew up in, our home phone was the business phone. And so here's Shane Noem at 10 years old answering a company phone line. And something my dad said really stuck with me. He said, look, if you answer the phone the wrong way, that could be a missed client and that could be money that we don't have in our pocket and food that we don't have on our table. And so from a young age, it was important to me to always be on your A game and always be professional.
Yeah.
And also in a smaller community and a last name like Nome, everybody knows your dad or knows your mom. And that was another one he said is wherever you go, someone knows a no or so someone knows you, someone knows a Nome. And
Yes.
don't embarrass the family name. And so there's a lot to that, and just being professional, thinking about those things. Those are the biggest hurdle. Being present in the community is the biggest hurdle, and the rest of it comes, and it's just whether you're ready to seize it when it comes.
Awesome. So a lot of entrepreneurs tend to think, I don't have any challenges. They are more opportunities because challenges really gift us with other ways to think, maybe even outside of the box that we didn't even know was presented to us to begin with. So share with us maybe your number one story where it was a client success story that you had where you're like, wow, I wish I had this each and every day.
Oh wow, it's funny. I get asked that question occasionally. What are you most proud of? And they're often the little things, connecting dots between people, the light bulb moments that turn into bigger things down the line. Um,
Yeah.
we're working on a project for a client right now, and it's relationships, local government relationships, and relationships that I've had for 15 years that were mostly social, political in some nature. We've been able to lean on those for our clients. Um, and the one I'm thinking of in particular is a confidential project, but we come into the small rural community and it's a very hostile environment, and then somebody's like, Shane, is that you? Hi, it's been 15 years. How are you doing? And completely disarmed the tense environment. And so those are again, the kind of things that we hope to bring is a local face.
Yeah.
And again, I can replicate that and have replicated that, 10, 20, 30 times over across the state just because of folks I went to college with, people that I was knocking on doors with during campaigns in my early 20s. And
Yeah.
it's fun to see my clients benefiting, them being better positioned for success because I was a nice guy to somebody 10 years ago, or I was able to get somebody to answer the phone 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. That is absolutely amazing. So when you think about goals, because you kind of talked about goal setting before, as far as like 5-year goals, and they never really maybe pan out exactly the way that we thought. What is your goal setting process? What does that look like?
We do a strategic planning session annually. It's funny to say that as a two-person team, but I've been through enough of them with nonprofits that I've been a part of, and there's so much clarity and direction that's given through that process. So, about a year and a half ago, I brought on Ellie, who is our first team member on the lobbying side. And so we sat down over the holidays 6 months ago, and we laid out a strategic plan of sorts for the year. And it's
Yeah.
what are the company goals? What are our personal goals? And those are intentionally not professional or not client related. They're things that, like, for example, I want to be home by 5:30, a few more days each week this year. So I've been tracking when I'm leaving, just so I can get better about being on at home and not stumbling in right at dinner time or right at bedtime and being more present. And Ellie's got personal ones as well. But then we've also got the business goals. And some of those are close this client that we've been working for a year. Actually wrap up work for this client and get them off of our plate. Some of it is develop a marketing strategy for Roebling and getting them out there. We launched a podcast this year, which was one of the goals that we had. So Politics NKY is up and running. And so we do that, and then we have quarterly check-ins on that. As a team, we do a weekly check-in where we call it the Roebling Report, is our rundown of all the clients and projects we're working
Nice.
on. And we'll check on those, and then we'll check on the goals as well. But then quarterly, we'll do a deep dive into how are your goals? Here's how mine are going, and then let's go through the company goals.
That is awesome. I love that you guys are intentional about it being very personal and addressing where do I want to be and what do I want to do, and the business will follow.
Yeah, I mean, businesses are people. That's sometimes a weird phrase to say when you're talking about government and businesses being people, but they really are. And if I'm not happy, if I'm stressed, if I'm losing my mind, or if Ellie's in the same position, we're not going to be successful. And it's going to show to our clients and to the politicians and the elected officials we're talking to. And so, self-care is important, mental health is important, being present at home, because we don't work to make the world a better place. We work to put food on the table, to support our families. And if we get a chance to do all those things, then we can make the world a better place. And so we need to take care of the things that are closest to home first so that we can impact our community second.
Very well said. So you mentioned a marketing plan.
Yeah.
This is something all businesses should do. Because I use the word should, probably tells you how many businesses may actually have a marketing plan. So tell me a little bit more about yours and what does it entail?
Yeah, we're still working on it. Where it's not perfect. I understand marketing for campaigns and candidates, and I can promote an issue or a person pretty well. When you're trying to promote a brand and trying to promote a business at large, it's a little different vibe, and
Yeah.
the platforms are different.
Yes.
And so we've set up, we're now set up on all the accounts and all the platforms that we want to be on, but really maximizing the social media component, maximizing our email distribution list. We're lagging a little bit. Part of that's where a third person coming in would help. If we're focused on doing the job of lobbying government relations, somebody is thinking about promoting us and doing some more support things like that. That helps. In this influencer era, it's a lot different. It's a lot, again, I'm from journalism background and training, and I think of the tangible, very structured communication networks. That's not it anymore. I am a brand, and as much as I may or may not like that, my brand represents the company represents me, and the brand we put forth as individuals and as a company sells us. And
Yes.
so there's people that may not do business with us because I'm too outdoorsy and too, I don't know, my personal brand doesn't connect to them. And there's other people that are going to flock to me versus other lobbyists because I'm not a typical corporate black suit wearing a tie every day kind of lobbyist. But that stuff matters a whole lot more than when I got into the professional world. And I know my kids are so much better at it than I am, but I can take a lot of lessons from them.
Yeah. So sounds like this might be the next role that you may be hiring. As
Definitely.
far as, so is it like social media? Like, I guess tell me a little bit more about some of those platforms that you're really wanting to leverage.
Yeah, in the political and government space, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, it's always Twitter to me. Um,
Me too.
that's still a very relevant platform,
Yes.
and it's an interesting one because elected officials look at their own Twitter, all the way up to senators and congressmen, down to state legislators and mayors. And so when you post something, the eyes that are getting on it are the ones you want. And then LinkedIn, for business development and getting in front of professionals in a market is second to none. And I can't tell you how many clients we closed that way or initial outreaches were started through LinkedIn. It's just an incredible platform. And then Facebook, I'm very siloed in how I do marketing because I think I understand the algorithms like baseline, understand them and how you can leverage and maximize. But Facebook, I really lean into like my personal. I'll occasionally put a professional win when I'm in the newspaper or when I have a community organization mention us. I'll push that out. But really, it's kids and family and vacation pictures and light, fluffy stuff because nobody likes the political rants on Facebook. And then Instagram's my creative outlet. That's where I post artsy pictures. And I really try to silo them to the
Yeah.
unique audiences. When we set up the Roebling LinkedIn, individuals get more play than businesses on there. So we cross share a lot. Things that if I'm speaking someplace, I post on my personal, cross share it on LinkedIn or on the business account. And the same thing with Twitter. Um, that's more for trolling. Not a lot of good comes out of Twitter other than retweeting or sharing a hot take. We don't really post a lot of the business wins on there because that's just more a snarky, cynical platform these days. But there's a place for that, criticizing and
Yeah.
have a First Amendment right to petition your government for grievances. And some days it looks like a snarky tweet, other days it looks like a professional, polished sit-down meeting.
So something that you really leaned into, even though you didn't come out and just say it, that's so important that I really want to highlight for our audience is each of the platforms definitely have their own genre and things that they're very important in order to leverage. So, as business owners, being cognizant of that and
Mhm.
ensuring that we are posting the right things, the right verbiage, talking to the audience in an appropriate way is so important, especially to then catapult us into the future. Facebook, it's great for our millennial, well, more Gen X people. So, yes, I am with you, Shane. And then and for LinkedIn, it is definitely business. So I do a lot there. But then Instagram. Do you do anything with Instagram?
We don't. That's part of the personal brand exposure is, we really like to get out in the woods and hike and travel and camp. And so that's where I tell people who I am as a person.
Nice.
I even try to insulate my kids from that platform and just keep it artsy, outdoorsy.
Yeah.
But no, we try to steer clear of it for business reasons. But, also I know my bandwidth and the two of us can
Thank you.
manage a Twitter and a LinkedIn. We're not going to be doing TikTok. I don't have the bandwidth and I'm not that fun to try to do cute videos. But I know what I can
A boomerang when you're outside and like, let's just do like a little hop, skip, and a jump with the kids. That sounds great.
do. Yeah, maybe when we hit the $1 million sales mark, we'll do a video for that.
I'm not on TikTok either. Um, it honestly kind of sounds exhausting, but there are a ton of people that get a lot of great business from it. But Instagram is our Gen Zs. So, like, my kids are blowing up Instagram. So, as they continue to get older, it's one of those things to think about too. So, I have some rapid fire questions, but before I get into that, I want to know a little bit more about your outdoorsy life. Like, are you talking beach, mountains, like forest? What really sings to your souls as a
All
family?
of it. All of it. Grounding myself with nature is my secret weapon. We've got three kids, 16, 13, and 6, and they're all in scouts. My oldest is working on his Eagle Scout project right now. And so I grew up in an outdoor family on a farm. So just being outside makes me happy. My wife's very similar. So our last trip was into Maine. We went up into Katahdin Woods, 12 miles off the grid, hiking, Acadia, just being out there on the shoreline. But anywhere, honestly, we've done Outer Banks, just to, feet on the sand. It's freezing cold in the winter, but just being there was cool. Anywhere that gets us outdoors, we're happy.
Yeah, we love the outdoors too. That's why I was asking. Well, because when I took my call with you, we were getting ready to go into the mountains with spotty reception and all sorts of not so fun stuff. So, but yes, I love that. And a great way to always have that family time and to be off the grid and actually have conversations is so super important, especially with their ages.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and the other thing with tying it into the business, this was the first big vacation we've been able to take where I was able to unplug for at least a couple days because we've got Ellie on the team and we have enough trust in each other that I trust her to do the work and flag things if they are important that I need to be bothered while I'm on vacation. But also, she came to me Monday morning when I got back and she said, "Here's the three things you missed while you were gone that I didn't need to call you about, and let's tackle them now." And so having that sidekick that's watching your back like that has been a game changer professionally.
Yeah, it really is an instrumental piece to the business for sure. Absolutely. All right. Rapid fire questions. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. What is the key to success for you?
Key to success for me is trusting your gut and trusting your team.
Brilliant. What is your one piece of advice that you would give to other business owners?
Show up everywhere. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is I can't tell you how many business owners they get out there and they go to their one spot or just go to an eggs and issues and that's their circuit. You've got to be everywhere all the time and somehow figure out how to run your business at the same time. Just be everywhere.
Yes. I like to always just rotate
Mhm.
so that then I'm at least popping in at a wide array of places and not always on the same thing all the time because
Yeah,
it's generally all the same people. So, what
exactly.
is a book or podcast that you're reading or listening to right now?
Well, other than Politics NKY, your source for Northern Kentucky political news, um, I'm listening through the three-part series on Teddy Roosevelt by Morris. Um, I find him to be fascinating, that era to be fascinating, and a lot of parallels to today. And so, if you're looking for a good political therapy session, read some books about Roosevelt and Taft and the tension in that area. It'll help you sleep better at night if you're worried about today.
So, you're saying history repeats itself.
It's all cyclical.
It is so much so. It's crazy. All right. Here's a fun question. If you could take a little bit of magic dust and sprinkle it over one part of the business, what would it be?
Definitely that marketing piece.
Yeah.
Just a little more polishing on that end, I think would go a long way.
The piece that I love about Action Coach with marketing, we look at marketing as it's math and you have to get an ROI out of it. So we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, great.
So before we get into the final question of the day, because it's been fun, share with our audience how they can follow you, get in touch with you, learn more so that then they can also leverage you.
Yeah. Well, we'd love to hear from you. Our website is roeblingsolutions.com. And as mentioned earlier, you can find us on LinkedIn and Twitter, X. Shoot me an email, shane.noem@roeblingsolutions.com. We'd be happy to sit down with you and help you figure out how to overcome your business's challenges and how to help you connect with your elected officials.
Excellent. So unfortunately, we've come to that final question of the day. But what is most inspiring to you today?
My kids, my kids are the most inspiring to me, and that's cheesy, but it's true. Again, I don't work because I love it. I do love working, but I work because I love my kids and I want them to have a great future and get off on a good foot. And that's why I'm involved in the civic side too. I don't necessarily enjoy being at a board meeting on a Tuesday night when I could be at home, but making Northern Kentucky a better place to live, work, and be is going to help them more than it's going to help me. And if that's my legacy, so be it. But really, I do what I do for them and uh, enjoy doing it for that reason.
Well done and well said. That's totally why we do what we do is for our kids, lift up our community, make it a better place for tomorrow. So thank you for sharing that passion. Well,
Thank you.
this was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it in every second. So thank you so much for sharing.
Jennifer, I appreciate the opportunity. It's always fun to share my story and meet new folks, and hopefully your listeners have enjoyed picking up on some things that mistakes I've made and lessons I've learned.
There's no hopefully. They do. I promise. All right. So, of course, all of you that are watching, save the show, come back, rewatch it, because Shane really had some really great nuggets that you guys are going to want to review and think about for the future, especially with that marketing plan. So, don't forget to like and subscribe and come back so that then you can get more notifications in the future. And of course, go out and check Shane's podcast too. So tell us again, what's that podcast, Shane?
Politics in KY on Apple and Spotify.
Excellent. So again, thanks to all of you for joining us and being with us today. Shane Noem with Roebling Solutions. We greatly appreciate you, what you're doing for our community and our society. So thank you, and we appreciate you.
Thanks, Jennifer.